We've talked about how Bitcoin is the internet of money. But imagine if the internet didn't have a CEO, a board of directors, or a government to decide on its updates. How do you fix a bug? How do you add a new feature when millions of people are already using it to store and move their life savings?
In the corporate world, you just push a software update. But in a decentralized world, you need consensus. You need 95% of the accountants, the nodes, and the security guards, the miners, to agree.
And as you can imagine, humans don't always agree. Between 2015 and 2017, the Bitcoin community went through what we now call the Blocksize War. It was a digital civil war that almost tore the network apart. It was a battle over a single question. Should we make the blocks bigger, or should we make the data smarter instead? I'm Nick.
And I am Aura.
This is Decode Protocol. Today we're decoding the Bitcoin civil wars.
Part 1, The Great War. Highway versus overpasses. Nick, let's go back to our highway analogy from the last episode. The problem was simple. The highway was getting crowded. Transaction fees were going up, and people were frustrated.
Two groups emerged with two totally different philosophies. One group, the big blockers, said the solution is easy, just widen the highway. Make the blocks bigger so we can fit more transactions.
That sounds logical on the surface. Why didn't we do it?
Because widening the highway has a hidden cost. Bigger blocks mean you need bigger, more expensive computers to run a node. With bigger blocks, the nodes need more powerful machines to keep the accounting going. And if only the big players can afford to run nodes, then the centralization comes back. We lose the decentralization that makes Bitcoin secure in the first place.
Exactly. The small blockers argued that we should keep the blocks small so anyone with a $50 Raspberry Pi could still be an auditor. Instead of widening the highway, they wanted to build the lightning overpass that we discussed in the last episode. You can already guess who won this battle.
Part 2. The Fork, Bitcoin Cash, and the Failed Copy. The disagreement got so intense that the big blockers decided to leave. They used the open source code to create a copy of the Bitcoin ledger. We call this a hard fork in engineering. In August 2017, Bitcoin Cash was born. Every person who held one Bitcoin suddenly woke up with one Bitcoin Cash as well. It was free money on a new and compatible blockchain.
They claimed they were the real Bitcoin because their fees were lower and their blocks were bigger. But it didn't work out that way, did it?
Not at all. The market, the miners, and the node operators looked at the two options and chose the original. Bitcoin Cash might have had wider roads, but it didn't have the security or the consensus that Satoshi originally revolutionized. If you kill the decentralization, you kill the hope. You are going back to the trust-based economy by trusting only the powerful computers to decide what goes. This was anti-Bitcoin in every sense.
Today, Bitcoin Cash is a tiny fraction of the original Bitcoin's value. It proved that you can't just copy the code and expect to keep the soul. The OG Bitcoin won the battle because it refused to compromise on decentralization.
Part 3. The Magic Suitcase, SegWit and Taproot.
So if we didn't make the blocks bigger, how did we actually fit more transactions? You have a great analogy for this, Nick. The suitcase.
Think of a Bitcoin block like a suitcase. Before 2017, the suitcase was getting full. The big blockers wanted a bigger suitcase, but the small blockers introduced SegWit. SegWit stands for Segregated Witness. It was like a master class in packing. Instead of getting a bigger bag, SegWit took the bulky items, the digital signatures, and moved them to a separate side pocket in the suitcase. Suddenly, the main part of the bag had way more room for transactions. We effectively increased the block size without actually changing the 1 megabyte block limit. It was a soft fork, a clever upgrade that was backward compatible. All of the original Bitcoin that Satoshi's white paper originally suggested, just more optimized for the large volumes of transactions.
And more importantly, SegWit fixed a bug that allowed the Lightning Network to finally be built. And we didn't stop there. In 2021, we got Taproot. This was another brain upgrade. It used new math called Schnorr signatures to make complex transactions look just like simple ones. Again, easy to package the transactions.
It also added privacy and made Bitcoin smarter without losing its digital gold simplicity.
We've decoded the Civil War. We've seen how Bitcoin survived a split and came out stronger, faster, and more private.
It's proof that Bitcoin is a living protocol. It doesn't need a CEO to evolve. It just needs a community that values truth over convenience.
We've covered the money, the tech, the layers, and the upgrades. But where is this all going? What happens when the last Bitcoin is mined? The 21 million limit.
In our Season 1 finale, we're looking at the big picture. We're decoding the global lifeboat. We're looking at the future of humanity on a Bitcoin standard. I'm Nick.
And I am Aura. This has been Decode Protocol. See you in the next block.